Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating lecture from back in 1987, all about personal development and its spiritual roots. All right, here's the plan. First, we're going to set the scene. There's this spiritual movement dealing with a surprisingly modern problem. From there, we'll dig into this wild new way of looking at value, what it takes to actually grow as a person, and then, the big one. What's the whole point of it all? So, right off the bat, the whole argument here hangs on this one pretty bold claim. The idea is that maybe, just maybe, the common sense we all live by, the things we're told to chase, well, what if it's all pointing us in the complete opposite direction? So you gotta ask, right? Why come out with such a radical idea? What problem was this trying to solve? Well, let's dig in. Okay, so picture this. The year is 1987, and this lecture, it was given right in the middle of a spiritual movement that was just exploding. I mean, they were being absolutely swamped by their own success. We're talking thousands of letters pouring in every single month. But as you can imagine, that kind of crazy growth brought its own set of problems for the people involved. And get this, the members weren't on the fringes of society or anything. We're talking professors, doctors, high-level officials, the elite. But they were scared. Scared of being labeled as weird or strange by their colleagues and families. They worried it would tank their careers, their relationships. It's that classic struggle, right? What you believe in your heart versus what the world expects of you. So, what was the answer to this dilemma? The lecturer's solution wasn't to tell them to just hide their beliefs. No, it was way more radical. It was to completely flip the script on what we even consider valuable. Think about all the stuff society tells us to want. Fame, a high-status job, climbing that corporate ladder. Well, this lecture basically says all of that. It has almost zero connection to who you really are, to your actual worth as a person. And this is a great way to see it. It's like there are two totally different games being played. On one side, you've got worldly values, all the external stuff, the things you can get. But on the other side, you have spiritual values, the internal stuff, which is all about the person you're trying to become. And here's the kicker. The lecture says that from a higher, spiritual perspective, that whole pyramid of worldly values, it gets flipped completely upside down. The stuff society puts at the very peak, like fame and power, from this viewpoint, that's actually at the bottom. And the things the world barely notices, like quietly working on yourself and seeking truth, that's what's at the very top. Okay, so if you decide you want to live by this upside-down pyramid, where do you even start? What's step one? Well, the lecture argues that the starting point isn't out there in the world. It's inside. So many people, even people with amazing ideals, fail because they try to change the world before they've sorted themselves out. It's like they're trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation of sand. It's just not going to work. And this idea of reflection is presented as the absolute bedrock. It's non-negotiable. The work starts with you, period. But here's a really important point. This idea of reflection, or hansei, isn't about negative self-criticism. It's not about looking in the mirror and saying, man, I'm just worthless. Not at all. The idea is that at your core, you're like a rough diamond. You're already brilliant. But life has covered you in mud and dust. Things like anger, jealousy, bad habits. Reflection is the positive act of cleaning and polishing that diamond, so your true self can actually shine. Okay, so this idea of polishing the diamond sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it in your day-to-day life? Well, the lecture lays out a practical path. It calls the modern middle way. And this is where things get really concrete. It's kind of like an instruction manual for navigating the chaos of modern life without getting totally thrown off balance. It's all about avoiding extremes. It's really a three-part strategy for a balanced life. First, you've got the 80-20 rule. Basically, admit you can't do everything. Pour 80% of your energy into your main thing, your core purpose. Then use the other 20% to explore, learn, and connect with people. Second, build your underwater self. Think of an iceberg. This is the huge, deep part of you that people don't see, the part that isn't affected by what people say or think. It's your inner stability. And third, just keep moving forward. It's like riding a bike, right? You only stay stable when you're in motion. The same goes for self-improvement. Now, holding all of these practical steps together are two big guiding principles. And the key is, they have to be in balance. You can't have one without the other. All self-development, according to this lecture, is a dance between progress and harmony. If you only focus on progress, you end up causing chaos. But if you only focus on harmony, you just stagnate. You don't go anywhere.
Real, lasting growth happens when you have both. And this chart breaks it down perfectly. On the one hand, you have progress. This is your individual growth, and it's built on the idea of fairness. What you put in is what you should get out. But that has to be balanced with harmony. This is about contributing to the happiness of others, and it's based on equality, the idea that everyone is worthy and deserves happiness. So, yeah, work hard to improve yourself, but always make sure that your progress is helping, not hurting the people around you.
Okay, so you invert your values, you do the hard work of reflection, you balance progress and harmony, but why? What's the end game here? What's the ultimate goal of all this? Well, the goal isn't what you might think. It's not about personal fame or fortune. The ultimate goal is what the Source calls the realization of God's ideal. It's about shifting your entire ambition away from yourself. You start to see yourself as a volunteer for a higher purpose, developing what's called right mindfulness, where you actually want to become the hands and feet to help bring that ideal into the world. And this brings it all full circle. The lecture is crystal clear on this. You can't truly help others, you can't even see that divine spark in them until you've done the work to find it in yourself first. Everything has to start from the inside out. So really, that's the core message here. This whole journey of self-realization through love and prayer is the real principle of success. It's a total redefinition of the word, away from just piling up money and titles, and towards something much deeper, spiritual alignment and serving a purpose bigger than yourself. So that leaves us with a pretty powerful question to think about. What common sense idea in your own life might actually be an inverted pyramid? What's that one thing you're chasing without question that could be holding you back from a completely different, maybe even better kind of growth?